starting points here. One is out there, the Quran, the map for all this work, and eventually ourselves. We have to do some inner work. When we study the Quran, we first consider the content, what we see, what we read, what we hear. And we study it and we listen to its meaning so we can understand the implied messages. Now, in order to understand the messages of the Quran, we need to keep in mind few points. One is that the addressee is me. It may seem obvious, but we are talking about consciously considering this point, which means when I'm reading or listening to the message of the Quran, I need to remain aware, conscious, that I am the mirror through which the messages are reflected onto me. I am the channel, the filter through which, or the window, the door through which those messages are sent to me. So, to the extent that I am aware, or let's say I'd better be aware of this situation and make sure that this mirror, this channel is clean. So I'm not distorting the meanings received, the messages received without even being aware of. So the process of listening to the Quran is itself comes together with a process. Actually, it itself brings in us a process of cleansing and purification. Purification from unfounded assumptions, false beliefs that we often take for granted, and therefore we don't even think of questioning them. And while they're important because they constitute the background of our pre-understanding of whatever comes our way, not only in the Quran, but in the world. So we need to question that. So that's one point. Let's also keep in mind that from one aspect, the message of the Quran is contained in the book, as we are told in the Quran, إِنَّهُ لَقُرْآنٌ كَرِيمٌ فِي كِتَابٍ مَكْنُونٍ. So this word maknoon means both contained and concealed. Truly, it is a noble Quran in a book concealed. So from one aspect, the message is contained in the book. From another aspect, it is this same message is concealed, and therefore we need to prepare ourselves, to purify ourselves. That's what the preparation is about, in order to be able to be open to receive the messages with a minimum of veiling, a minimum of distortion and adulteration. And in order to be open to receiving the guidance when it is sent to us and benefit from it. So the inner work is engendered through listening when the listening is conscious, when I'm consciously listening. I'm not taking anything for granted. And I want to attract our attention to an important point here. It's like when we hear the word Quran, let's pause. What comes to our mind? Just whatever comes to your mind, keep it there. And now I'll ask you a question. Was there a physical book during the life of the Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessings be upon him? Obviously, there wasn't, no, because the Quran was in the process of being revealed. So the Quran was Quran even at the very beginning, where there were only few ayat revealed. So the Quran is more than the words that we recite and hear. They are part of it, but the Quran is not only that. The words are like the tip of an iceberg. The words are signposts. They are ayat, that's what ayah means. They are signposts pointing to, indicating to the ocean of infinite meanings that are sent through our active and conscious interaction with the Quran here and now, through our need for answers, for guidance, for healing. We ask, and the process of asking is the process of listening, the process of studying, the process of learning the words, their meaning, and then we wait. We wait for the meaning to be inspired with the meaning. So, in other words, the process of the Quran being sent, the Tanzil or Inzal, is alive. I mean, otherwise, like it would be like thinking or imagining as if the whole Quran is, I have it all there. It's there on my desk, or in a tape, or in an in a file on my computer. While it took the Prophet ﷺ himself 23 years to receive the message of the Quran. So it's a living process. The message, the guidance of the Quran is contained and concealed in the words in the book. And we need to learn to listen to this living Quran through which God speaks to us here and now, speaks to me. And we need to learn to reflect on its meaning with a purified heart and a purified mind. We are told no one, it is a noble Quran in a book, concealed in a book, and no one may touch it except the purified. So we need that purification, otherwise we cannot touch the meaning. Touching the book, the words, anyone can touch it. We don't have monopoly over that. But the Quran, God speaking to me, is only open to those who purify their intention, their heart, and listen accordingly, so that the meaning may be sent to them, to us, inshallah. And that's why we are told, when the Quran is recited, hearken unto it and listen, so that you may receive mercy. وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وانصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. So how do we prepare ourselves for this receiving? How do we reflect? How do we purify ourselves? This is what we do all the time, not only in this retreat. Obviously, it's very limited, but we've been doing this for years, and this is the main purpose of receiving Nur. That's why we came together, because we felt this need, inshallah. Another point is, in order to understand the messages of the Quran, we need to keep in mind that the addressee is me. That's what we just uh, went through. And we also need to keep in mind that the speaker is God, our maker, my maker, the maker of everything. So we need to approach the Quran accordingly. Like, what is God telling me? And who is God? Because the moment I say, what is God telling me? I say, who is God? My maker, what does it mean? How does he describe himself to me? Because when I open the book, he's talking about himself. Why does he communicate with us? For what purpose? Why does God speak to us, to me? According to the Quran, to what is said in the Quran, it is sent for the purpose of providing us with many things, among them with guidance, with good news, with healing, with mercy, with light. Light is very important. Light has a special quality that's extremely important because it is extremely useful. It is the difference between darkness and light. When it's dark, we cannot see anything. But as soon as there is light, then we can see around us. Subhanallah. We take it for granted, but like it's really amazing. Light makes apparent to us things that otherwise we wouldn't be able to see, even if they are right next to us. They're there, but unless there is light, we can't see them. I mean, it's a name of God, Nur, and it's an amazing name, an amazing quality. Even the physical light is it's a wonderful area. It is a signpost indicating the divine quality of Nur, of light, as well as guidance, as Rahma, and many other names. And it's really worth reflecting on. So these qualities are also clearly manifested within the message of the Quran, which is light, guidance, and rahmah, and healing from fears and anxiety when we're in darkness, when we don't know where we are going, what's going on. Of course, we will be stuck in a state of fear and anxiety. And suddenly, the message of the Quran comes and it enlightens everything. No, our here and now and our path onto eternity. It's like being on a on a way, on a paved path, but we don't know that we are on a paved path. Now we see the road clearly, we see the destination. It's amazing the difference it makes in our life. It gives meaning, it gives purpose. It is truly a light. And so it is also, because it is light, it is healing, it is rahmah, it is healing from our fears and anxieties and meaninglessness and purposelessness. And because it makes to us, we become aware of the unseen, you know? We start seeing dimensions of things that we were never aware of before. We realize that everything is an ayah, is a signpost, that it has meaning pertaining to another world, that this world is only a very superficial, very tiny tip of the iceberg, that it's only a passing, it's not the ultimate reality, it's only something that is coming and leaving. We start perceiving the world in a totally different way, from a new perspective. Um, and if we're not amazed and at all at the worldview that the Quran opens for us, it's probably because we're not aware of it yet, or we haven't been exposed yet to the dazzling light of the Quranic message, a light that changes how we perceive the world and how we perceive ourselves in wonderful and wondrous ways. Um, um, these are in the Quran, for instance, in Ayah 174 of Surah 4, we are told, O people, convincing evidence has come to you from your Rabb, your sustainer, and we have sent down to you a clear light. يا أيها الناس قد جاءكم برهان من ربكم وأنزلنا إليكم نورا مبينا. We're also told that the Quran is sent as guidance, huda, good news, bushra, healing, shifa, rahmatan, shifaan wa rahma, and mercy. For instance, in 89 of Surah 16, we are told we have sent down step by step, gradually. The message comes gradually. In our life also, everything is going to come gradually, step by step. There's no such a thing as suddenly I find myself understanding, knowing, being aware of everything. This is the sunnatullah, the law of creation for everything. So we have sent down step by step this book to make everything clear and to provide guidance and mercy and joyful news onto the Muslim. Means al-Muslimin wa bushra lil-Muslimin. It means those who have surrendered themselves unto God. That's what it means. So note here that we experience the message of the Quran as guidance and mercy and joyful news when we are in a state of surrendering to God, to divine will. So it's not the Quran is mercy and good news, full stop. No, it is so for the Muslimin, for those who surrender themselves. So when we surrender, we will realize, we will experience the Quran as guidance and rahmah, and vice versa. And the more we experience it like this, it will increase our surrender. Of course, there is always the factor of free will. Just because everything is clear does not make me go on a certain path. There is no compulsion. It's always we are free to choose. So that's why we need to be clear and conscious and aware and present with ourselves. Is it because sometimes we make excuses that because it's not clear, I didn't understand? I don't know. Sometimes we need only, we are always making choices either consciously or by default. Shirk is by default. It's choice by default, unconsciously. Why? Because we are not consciously seeking tawheed. It means it's like saying, I'm not responsible that I failed the class. Why? Because I didn't do anything. Yes, but you were supposed to do something. That's true for all activities in life. In Surah 27, Ayah 2, we are told that the Quran is a guide and joyful news for the believers. Hudan wa bushra lil mu'minin this time. So we have to be believers. In Surah 17, Ayah 82, we are told, and we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers. In 17:9, we are told, indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most suitable and gives joyful news to the believers who do righteous deeds. It's adding. It was just Muslimin, surrenderers, then it became believers, and then now it's believers who do good deeds. Then for them, It guides to what is most suitable. You want guidance, you don't know what's most suitable. Believer with good, you act on your belief that they will have a great rewards. So through the Quran, we realize that God speaks to us here and now in order to guide us and make everything clear so that we are healed from the wounds of meaninglessness, of impermanence, of dissatisfaction, to be healed with his infinite mercy and compassion. Another point is that the Quran introduce all this is through after all this, when we consider these points and study the Quran consciously this way, we realize that the Quran introduces to us a totally new worldview. Those who've been studying the Quran with us for a while realize that it's a totally new worldview. Everything is a mirror to the beautiful names of God. All the qualities that of perfection and beauty that we long for, that we are that we love, we are in love with. That's how we are created. Usually, when we are unaware, we think they belong to ourselves, to the things themselves. But lo and behold, we learn that no, everything is only a mirror reflecting the beautiful names of God. Those qualities are not ours, they are being reflected through us. And everything is making God known to us with his beautiful names, his beautiful attributes. And everything is glorifying and praising him. And so we are told to glorify and praise him as well. And everything prostrate to God, so prostrate to him. So prostration becomes something that is much more, it's very deep and very meaningful. So when we prostrate, we're aware that we're prostrating together with the whole creation, all our fellow worshippers, the whole creation. And we are told, for instance, in the Quran, beasts and angels are mentioned in the same sentence, in the same breath. In Ayah 16, Surah 16, Ayah 49, we are told it is to God that everything in the heavens and earth submits. Every beast actually submits, it's actually yasjudu, prostrates. Every beast, so I'll say it again, it is to God that everything in the heavens and earth prostrates, every beast that moves and the angels. And they are all free from arrogance. Actually, it means, and they are not arrogant. They do it without arrogance. All of them prostrate before God. In Surah 22, Ayah 18, we are told, do you not see? It means, are you not aware? Alam tara. Are you not aware that everything in the heavens and the earth submits? No, again, prostrates to God, the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, and the animals, and so do many human beings. And it carries on. The heavens, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the mountains, the trees, and the animals prostrate to God. Something to sit and ponder about and reflect on. The Quran gives a new meaning and purpose to life that pertains to eternity, to permanence, and to eternal happiness. knowing God through his creation with his beautiful names and becoming aware of our relationship with him, that brings meaning, lasting meaning and purpose to everything. And we realize that the true meaning and purpose of everything proceeds from the relationship with God. And like everything else, we realize also that the meaning and value of our life is from this relationship. So we better uh, cultivate this relationship consciously. And our purpose is to recognize that all the goodness and all the perfections that we love so much and that we long for, all of them pertain to the beautiful names, the eternal, beautiful names of God. So everything we need, everything we love and long for is with Him and Him only. This sentence on its own will change everything, all our priorities in life. If we can truly confirm it, witness it, and have certainty about it. We also realize that we live in a transient world and that transience and impermanence hurt. It hurts a lot. We don't want anything that we love to depart. We don't like separation from what we like. Yet, transience, we learn that transience is a window onto eternity. It is the gate, the door to eternity. It indicates the eternal source of all what we love and long for. And this realization, this knowingness, this certainty brings us to lasting fulfillment and inner peace and satisfaction here and now. And it heals us, for instance, from fear of seemingly meaningless death that can occur anytime, as we are told in Surah 12, Ayah 107. Do they then feel assured that an overwhelming chastisement shall not visit them, and that the last hour shall not come upon them suddenly without their even being aware of it? The question, this ayah is like shaking us. Wake up from the slumber of ghafla. And the topic used is very compelling because that is what we fear the most. Not only death, but suddenly, because we know everyone will die, everyone will leave, but we pretend as if it's not coming at all, or it's going to come after a long time. No, it's saying suddenly. It can come any time. Suddenly, it means we have no control over it. So this way we're made to face our one of our first worst fears, which is our powerlessness, our vulnerability. And in a sense, it's because this fear to acknowledge our utter powerlessness, our utter vulnerability, that we shut ourselves to the reality of impermanence and transience. Because if we had to keep in mind that the world is transient and impermanent, we would have to accept that there is no way whatsoever to be self-sufficient or to claim self-sufficiency or to think, imagine that we have control over anything. I have no control over my breathing, full stop. It means I have no control over my life. We cannot control our life because it is not inherent to us. It is constantly given to us here and now. We cannot control our breath and we need to breathe constantly. That's our dilemma when we are in ghafla, in disconnection to the source of life and the source of everything. We cannot control the growth of our nails. We can only cut them, and they keep growing and they don't listen to me. We cannot control or stop aging, for instance, etc., etc. You can apply this reasoning to everything else. The world is constantly changing, moving, and it's constantly reminding us how powerless and how limited and how vulnerable we are. And this powerlessness is like a double-edged sword. It can be the thing we fear the most, but when we find God and when we know God as our sustainer, the one who is sustaining my breathing, because yes, I have no control over my breathing, and I need to breathe constantly. And lo and behold, I am made to breathe. I don't know how to breathe myself, but I am made to breathe. That's the breakthrough. So someone is in control. Someone has the power to make me breathe. Someone has the power to sustain the air that I need to breathe. Once we have that awareness and we connect the awareness of our connection to our Rabb, our sustainer, then things just start changing if we choose to. It's always a choice, it's always a decision. Then powerlessness becomes the means to find the source, the grounding support that is our Rabb. But when we are in ghafla and we are not making that conscious decision, then we bracket out this unsettling reality and we carry on the struggle to try to be self-sufficient all our life. And anything that threatens that illusion traumatizes us because it makes us wake up from the delusion. And when we wake up to the reality and surrender, then our powerlessness, our vulnerability, our limitedness become the means to recognize the eternal and infinite power of our Rabb and find relief and peace in relying on our sustainer. So this way, the Quran guides us onto a new way of being in the world, a new awareness. The more our Iman, the more we know God, and our Iman, our belief in God increases, this way increases, the more we start living with that awareness and our way of being changes. We start living in the divine presence. It's a gift from God. We just do the preparation. We stop ignoring the reality, and we are gifted with the Iman and the state of Ihsan. And how do we gauge this? How do we know where we are? Through conscious gratitude to God. And this is wisdom. In the Quran, this is called hikmah. In Surah Luqman, Surah 31, Ayah 12, we are told, and indeed we endowed Luqman wisdom. We gave him wisdom. What is this wisdom? Be grateful unto God. For whoever is grateful unto God is but grateful for the good of his own self, and whoever is ungrateful, then truly God is self-sufficient, ever to be praised. He's self-sufficient, he doesn't need my gratitude. But whether I'm praising the things themselves or God, the praise always goes to him because he is the source of everything. So hikmah, wisdom, is in being grateful, full stop, to God, full stop. It doesn't say being grateful to this and that. There is no no object here for this and that. When you have food, you are grateful. There is that also in the Quran, but hikmah is to use all those as means and then live in a state of gratitude to God, full stop, all the time. You don't need any excuse. You don't need to have the blessings or not. The blessings were there only to make us know who God is. Once we know him, that's it, finished. We are grateful to have him. We are grateful to be connected to him. He's the best thing that can happen to us. Why should I be grateful when I have a small, tiny blessing from him and I am not grateful otherwise? It means I don't know who God is. So it is a state of being. Look in Surah 39, Ayah 68, we are told, nay, worship God, بَلِلَّهِ فَاعْبُدْ وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ, and be one of those who are grateful to him. In Arabic, shakirin is it's not even be one who is grateful. It is an active participle. It is a way of being. Be a shakir. Be a grateful. It becomes your quality, your way of being. And it is directly related to worshiping God. If you worship God, then you are grateful. Otherwise, you are not worshiping God. There is another ayah later. And in Surah 2, ayah 172, we are told, O you who believe, eat the good things we have provided for you and be grateful to God if it is him that you worship. If you're not grateful to God, it means you are not worshiping God. You are not consciously worshiping God. And in Surah 34, Ayah 13, we are told, and remember, few of my servants are truly thankful. Few of my servants. It means most people are not grateful to God. Because often, even when we think we are grateful, we are not actually consciously grateful to God. We're grateful when there are blessings around us, when we like something. That's like small kids, when you give them candy or something, they like you, they are happy, except for their mother. The baby, they are attached, they love their mother unconditionally. That's how we are supposed to be with God. When we know how the nature of our relationship, it becomes like that. There is unconditional love and gratitude. So when our gratitude is conditions or is conditional, when I'm grateful only when there is a blessing, otherwise I can't be grateful. I don't find it in myself, like why should I be grateful? Or find it hard to be grateful. It is a sign of attachment to the things themselves. It means I am assuming, I am imagining that those things are the source of my enjoyment, the source of my benefits. They benefit me. They are helping me. Something that the Quran refutes again and again and invites us to reflect. They cannot help you. They cannot harm you. They cannot help and harm themselves even. How can they help you? And we talked about water. Lifeless, inanimate, unconscious, powerless water cannot create or give life to anything. The giver of life, the living one, gives life to us by means of water, not to make water a veil, but to make water a means, a mirror to magnify, to make it clear to us who the giver of life is. That there is a giver of life, that this thing, this simple substance cannot give life. Something lifeless cannot give life. So being grateful to things themselves is a sign of shirk, a sign of being in disconnection from God, from our Rabb. And while we're in this disconnected state, we are susceptible to shirk. By default, they go together. Ingratitude or conditional gratitude are both related to shirk. It's an illusion. It's an illusion that things provide benefit, provide protection, satisfaction, whatever you can think of. Whatever we seek from them apart from the source of all goodness, which is Rabbul Alameen, the sustainer of all world. He alone is the protector, the healer, the provider of all benefits, the helper, anything you want, it's from him. It is sent by means of those things. If we have not done the work and we don't see things as they are, as ayat, as messengers, praising him, reflecting his name, making him known to us, then we remain stuck into them. That is shirk. And that's why the words used in this ayah, in ayah 12 of surah 31, is in Arabic, in English is gratitude, ingratitude, but in Arabic is shukr and kufr. So the counterpart of gratitude here is kufr. Kufr is used in the Quran as ingratitude, but it also, because the literal meaning is to cover the truth, to cover up, it is also used to disbelief. And ingratitude is an act of disbelief, an act of not recognizing the true gifter, the true source of the blessing. And that's why we are told in the Quran, for instance, in Ayah 3, Surah 76, we guided him to the right path, whether he was grateful or not. إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Either, when in English you don't see the nuance. It's grateful, or ungrateful is kafur, the one who is in a state of kufr, in a state of disbelief, disconnection, covering up the reality. And this we see in the Quran many times, not only in Ayah 12 of Surah Luqman or this, but many times, that shukr and kufr. Kufr means to veil, to conceal, to cover. Shukr means thanks and gratitude, but it also has a meaning of unveiling, making manifest, showing things as they are. And that's why when we cover the truth, it leads to shirk. And right after, that was ayah 12, the next ayah, ayah 13 of Surah Luqman, 31, we are told, and lo, Luqman spoke unto his son, admonishing him, O my dear son, do not ascribe shirk with God. لا تشرك بالله. Behold, shirk is indeed a terrible ظلم. إن الشرك لظلم عظيم. So this is the hikmah that is taught to Luqman, and through Luqman to us in this ayah. It is guidance, it is mercy onto the muhsins, those who live with iman, with ihsan, in the presence, consciously in the presence of God, no shirk. As it is mentioned at the opening of this surah, Surah Luqman, Surah 31, starts with Alif Lam Mim. Those are the signs, the ayat, and the wise book, so it's wisdom, wise book, والكتاب الحكيم, providing guidance and mercy to the muhsinin. هدى ورحمة للمحسنين. When there is no shirk, it's a state of ihsan. So let's take a pause maybe with the commitment meditation. I tried to take some notes. It's not as easy as Sarah, mashallah, is gifted for that. It's easier to do it yourself because you're not speaking. So we're doing this pausing and reflecting in order to help us get clear about how we feel about our commitment. We want to come into alignment with our goals from within, because lots of times the reason we struggle to stay committed with our goal is because we're conflicted within us, whether we're aware of it or not. And we want to become aware, to bring light onto the situation so that we can see what can be done. So there is like part of us that desires to achieve this commitment, but another part of us that may not be convinced, and therefore it doesn't really believe that we can do it. And so in order to be committed, we want to get really clear from within and align ourselves from our heart and our mind and whatever, so that everything, all parts within us, are ready to commit to this goal. And maybe we will need to reconsider our goal. And when we reach that inner balance, we also want to voice it, articulate it with words, communicate it so that we say what we want. And that's a declaration. That's why when we are in the prayer, in the salat, we declare things. When we make the shahada, we say it with words as well. Speaking out with words, it's a way of sealing our inner balance once we find it. Of course, just saying the words, if we have not done the inner work, won't do anything. But like I did the inner work, for instance, for the shahada, now I want to keep saying and keep remembering and keep anchoring that new clarity, that new state of being. And we need to speak our truth clearly to ourselves and to the world to add clarity and also accountability. So, Bismillah, um, inshallah. So, go ahead and uh, close your eyes, or if closing your eyes will just make it easier to focus, or just gently, look gently. The whole thing is not to be distracted, inshallah.
Dr. Yamina, how long will it be? Like 5 minutes or
Short. Why?
I wanted to commit according. No, I just wondered.
I don't know how many minutes, but I'm guessing it's very short, inshallah. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, Bismillah, go ahead and close your eyes gently and get as comfortable as you can. And see if you can just relax by bringing your attention to, to yourself, your body, and as much as you can, intend to let go of whatever distractions are going on around you or within you, in your head, whatever has been going on, maybe in your day. And make the intention to let that all that go for the time being, so that all of your attention and awareness is focused within you. And just do like a little inner check-in and notice how you're doing now. How do you feel? Physically also, just notice how you feel, tired, not, just notice. Scan your body, your thoughts, and just notice, observe. Now start noticing your breath. You're breathing in and breathing out. And remember, the breath is our anchor that helps us remain present in the moment. And it brings us back to our house in this world, which is our physical body. So just breathe gently, naturally, and focus on your breath. And notice how you're breathing in through your nose. And if you can breathe in and out through your nose in a nice, gentle way. Now listen to your heart and bring your attention right there to your heart and just notice. Notice what comes. It may be words, it may be an image, it may be a feeling. It's okay. Just tune in to your heart and listen to how it feels when you consider your desire for this commitment that you want to commit to, this thing you want to commit to. Whatever way the heart communicates with you, whether words or picture or feelings, it is fine. Just notice it. At the same time, stay connected to your breath because it anchors us within ourselves. And with every exhale, relax. Exhale out, breathe out, relax. And listen. What is your heart telling you in regard to this commitment, to this desire to commit to something? Do you feel good, comfortable when you think of that commitment? Or do you feel uncomfortable? Is it truly what you want to do? Listen to yourself. Are there any fears coming up when you focus on the commitment? Listen out and notice if there are any fears. And breathe in and breathe out. And allow yourself to find within a place of trust where you feel safe. And now it is safe to listen to what comes within you. Are you afraid that you can't keep your commitment? Are there reasons that comes up why you can't do it? Within you, say the word commit. I need to commit. How does it feel? Good or bad? Comfortable or uncomfortable? When you say, I need to commit, does your body relax or does it tense? Ask yourself why. Why is it so? Would you like to change your commitment or the words and feelings you associate with your commitments? If you feel discomfort, if you feel resistance, just notice it and keep focusing on your breathing. You're gaining clarity now. It's okay if you're not feeling well about your commitment. You're becoming clearer. Maybe you just want to adjust your commitment. It's okay to do so. Now imagine that your whole body relaxes when you focus on what you want to commit to. Imagine that you're feeling and feel it now, inner calm and harmony, as though you've already achieved your purpose, your commitment. Feel the calm and the peace. I am. You are doing it. It's working. Feel totally aligned with your purpose and breathe in this feeling of alignment and peace and harmony. Breathe it in. Make sure you feel it in the whole body. What words would express this commitment? How would you express this commitment? Say it to yourself. Breathe in those words and let them flow through your body so that you are aligned with those words, so that those words bring energy to you. They don't make you tired. Repeat the words that express your commitment. Speak the truth of your commitment to yourself. And imagine that you're speaking out those words to the world. And breathe in and breathe out. Alhamdulillah. Now you can open your eyes. So the question is how do we stay committed once we make a decision? And like, for example, the decision could be to reflect on an ayah of the Quran every day, or, I don't know, anything, waking up at night and worshiping, something maybe out of the ordinary of our usual schedule. So usually, this is my own self-reflection. We're thinking, what do I need to do? The doing is very important so that I stay committed. My friends know that I always say, don't ask what shall I do, but who do I choose to be? It's something that I learned the hard way. But here I find myself usually, what do I need to do to remain committed? And at the same time, without realizing, we associate the word committed is, I must commit, I need to commit. The word committed start being associated with feelings of, for me, it's like constriction and tightening of the heart and feeling kind of like a prisoner. And why? Because we have different reasons. We may want to commit to things that we are not ready. Usually it's because we want to commit to something we are not ready for yet. It means we have not prepared ourselves for it. It means we don't feel the need. It's like food. If you feel the need, if you feel hungry, you will not only eat it, you will carry it from the store and cook it. And the hungrier you are, the more we do all that work. It doesn't seem like a burden at all. It becomes like enjoyable. You're cooking and smelling and you're getting ready because why? We have a need for the food. We are hungry. So the preparation is to become aware of our need. We need to activate that need within ourselves, become aware of it. And that's the preparation. Otherwise, it feels like we have to do it, like forcing ourselves. But for how long can we force ourselves? And even let's say we have a very strong will and we did force ourselves. Wouldn't we be missing the sweetness of ibadah? There would be no true connection with God. So it's not worship, as the Prophet ﷺ says to the guy. This is not, you are not praying. He is performing the prayer, but it's not prayer. So here also, whatever, especially when it is related to ibadah, to worship, would it be ibadah? And no wonder afterwards we say, I don't feel like I'm not tasting the sweetness of ibadah. So we need to commit to things as much as we are ready. And that's why we start step by step. Even the Quran was revealed step by step. There's no need to go like all the way. Like when we start a journey, we can't just like teleport to the destination. We start slowly and we can't say, but I can't see the destination. No, if you are traveling, you see only a few miles ahead. and it's okay. No one says, but I need to see the whole way. This is the same thing. We start step by step. And so we need to commit only to what we are ready for. So it means that we need to do the inner work first. And when we do the inner work and we're convinced that we need, for instance, this was about studying the Quran more seriously or waking up at night and worshiping, then we start feeling the need for it, and then we can give up. Just because we feel the need for it, it doesn't mean that I will wake up. But now I can use a little bit of momentum through free will and put my alarm and put few alarms because I'm not used to waking up at that night, and start doing it until it becomes a new habit, because there is already a preparation. I'm ready. And so now I can do some work and push myself a little bit. And we start one thing at a time. What matters is not the quantity, but the quality. Our being present throughout the worship, for instance. And the constancy is important, the regularity, even if it's a little more sustainable. And it's what the Prophet ﷺ teaches. Even if it's a little, but every day. And how we feel about it and the words we use is important. If I say, I must, no, it's not I must wake up. I choose to wake up. So when I say I choose, it feels like a man. But when I say I must wake up, it's like someone else is forcing me. No one is forcing us. We are making choice. So the words we use are also important. And so before we commit to do something, we need to first make sure we are like the being ready for it. And so we start with the inner work that has precedence over the outer deeds. Then we need a little push to start acting. And the more we act, the outer deeds, because they're infused with this consciousness, this readiness, this iman, this belief, this knowingness, they nourish and cultivate and strengthen our inner state of being. And that's why we are told, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. What is important in our deeds is the intention. It is the seed of our deeds. And this way we'd have to uh, eliminate the inner conflicts, the feeling bad, the feeling forced while committing to something. It's not true. So that's why we need that clarity, that questioning, and not feeling connected to God while praying, while worshiping. So now, the clearer we become, we will feel the need to know God and connect to Him consciously. So when we don't do the inner work for whatever reason, we feel the need to compensate by committing to the outer world, but it's very hard to sustain. It doesn't provide us with, even if we could sustain it somehow, it still doesn't provide us with the joy and the inner peace and the sweetness of being in communion with our beloved and merciful sustainer, with being worshiping Him. Worshiping Him is something joyful, and it comes together. The more we worship consciously, the more we know Him more. But we have to start somewhere, and that somewhere is our conscious connection to God. And the more we do this, the more we will feel the need to know God more and more. So the core of this work is to know God with His beautiful names. And through reflecting on the how do we know Him with His beautiful names, again and again, as we are taught in the Quran, reflecting consciously on the ayat in the outer world, on the creation, things, events in the outer world, then reflecting on the ayat in the inner world, in ourselves, under the guidance of the Quran. While listening to the Quran, we need to be careful that we're not imposing our own assumptions on the Quran. We need to intend to be open and to question our assumptions against the received messages and listen actively with humility, with awareness. So, an example of reflecting on the ayat in the world. Um, Usually, if we have not learned to reflect consciously on the creation, things in the world, events in the world, under the guidance of the Quran, it means we are at a level of at the threshold. We have not entered the world of conscious iman. And the threshold is we do not deny the existence of God. And often, when we are in ghafla, we think that that is believing in God. No, believing in God means knowing Him with His beautiful names, knowing Him, experiencing that knowing, witnessing it, experiencing it in the world, having certainty. That's what Iman means, certainty. And there is another word used in the Quran a lot as well, is yaqeen, which is really certainty. So when we start, we have a general sense in the fitra, we are created with that general sense that there must be a creator, a creator. Who is this creator? We don't know yet. That's why no wonder we feel disconnected. We feel disconnected from ourselves, from other beings, and therefore from God. Remember, even Satan does not deny the existence of God in the Quran. He says, you created me. So we need to move from this station, from this step. Otherwise, we will be stuck in shirk. And that's why in the Quran we are told, and most people believe in God only as mushrik. It means only in a state of shirk. And something very important is that we do not have to wait until we experience something special in order to reflect. There is no such a thing, because through habit of ghafla, we take most things for granted anyways. So we lost, or we lose our ability to realize how amazing everything is. Like we were talking about light, or yesterday was about water. They're all amazing. They're miracles. But we take them for granted because we see them every day, and that's it. We don't think. Because of no relation, we have not cultivated the habit of reflecting as we are taught in the Quran. So, and that's why in the Quran, we're invited to reflect on everyday events, on everyday things, day and night, the rain, water, the food you eat. Um, and so this is the way we are taught to rent the veil of ghafla and of our misperception that is born out of ghafla, and to question it. For instance, in ayah 24, surah 80, we're told, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ. Let human being look at the food he eats. In another ayah that I shared yesterday is, have you ever considered the water that you drink? You see? And lots of ayat are about day and night, the trees, the fire, and things like that. Because everyday things are ayat, they are miracles, they are signposts, they are messengers from the unseen, from beyond. So we want to reflect on the ayat of the Quran, and lo and behold, they tell us to reflect on the ayat in the creation. So what we end up doing is reflecting on the creation, on the events by means of the ayat in the Quran. It means under the guidance of the Quran. So an ayah that always attracts my attention is the fourth ayah of Surah 13, Surah Al-Ra'd. We are told, and there are in the land neighboring plots, gardens and vineyards, cornfields, palm trees in clusters or otherwise, all watered with the same water. Yet we make some of them taste better than others. Truly, there are in this ayat signs, messages for people who reason. This is teaching us wisdom. So the reasoning here is the same land, same water, different tastes. When I first read it, I thought, what's going on here? I mean, like, it seems a little bit simplistic and naive. Like, come on, yes, water is the same, the land is the same, but there are so many other factors involved here. But then I said, just a second, apply the same logic, the same approach to any other elements, any other factor involved. At the end of the day, you take everything, at the end of the day, they are all similar they are all like water. They're all lifeless, they're all inanimate. None of them has the quality to produce and create the result, the so-called effect. And if we want to go to the bare constituents, all of them are, at the end of the day, made of atoms and electrons. Yet, this same constituents, or constituents with the same qualities, same lack of qualities, they are all inanimate, all lifeless, all they have no knowledge, no power, nothing. And they are used to bring into existence. They themselves cannot sustain themselves. And they are used to bring into existence completely different things and beings. The same elements, totally different. Different fruits, same water, different fruits, different taste, different shapes, different colors. Subhanallah. And most of them are like 90% water. And the other things are all things that boil down to something like water, a matter that does not have uh, life or knowledge or power or anything. So the difference is in the way they are arranged, the way they are designed, the way they are shaped, the way they are colored, and that order, that design, that color, that shape, that artistry, that inside and out, it's like different recipes, all indicate will and purpose. They indicate knowledge and power. There's knowledge you have to know, and they indicate it has to be done seeingly, knowingly, and the power to bring all those things from all over the world to bring that. It has to, the, there has to be life. All kinds of things are, all kinds of qualities are involved, and those qualities have to be all encompassing. So all these qualities, we can see them, we can see how this happening, this event is pointing to these qualities. And we look at the things themselves, they don't have those qualities. Therefore, they are making tasbih. They are saying, La ilaha illallah. We are not the makers, we are not the gods, it is not from us. God is beyond needing our help. We ourselves are being created, are being made right now. So that's the tasbih part. And the praising part, they are declaring, reflecting his beautiful names. Because these attributes, we also understand that they have to be all encompassing. Why? Because you cannot have one thing without everything. For one tree, for one fruit to exist, the tree has to be there. For the tree to be there, there need to be soil, air, the sun, light, water. The sunlight has to be, the earth has to, I mean, the whole galaxy has to be like this. Let's say the solar system and the galaxy and everything, and the past and the future. So it looks like a tiny fruit, but actually it only exists in interconnection and in interdependence with everything else. So the maker of one thing can only be the maker of one thing, as we read in the windows that we read on Wednesdays. And that's why it says we make some of these fruits taste better than others. It means this tafdeel, this there is a will going on here. There is a choice, a will going on here. Something tastes better than another. It's relative, of course, but it doesn't matter. It means they taste different. So you see how we are taught two things here. Simple causes, simple things, and the effects is very complex. An egg, a living bird singing, flying, having connection, relationship with all the words, going everywhere, picking food and everything. Egg, bird. The egg is making tasbih that it is not making the bird. The egg is just like the place where the bird comes out. It's like just because the food is coming out of the kitchen, you can't say that the kitchen is making it. That's where it's coming from. Someone is making this amazing creature, this bird, out of this simple egg. And it's made so simple that it reflects the beautiful names of God very clearly. It's making shahada for us. So powerless, lifeless, unconscious causes, artful, purposeful, full of life, beneficial effects. This is a contrast that is used again and again in the Quran. And the dynamic interconnection with everything. The interconnectedness. So we understand that for one thing to be, everything has to be as it is. So the maker of one thing can only be the maker of all. So those qualities have to be all encompassing. These are the steps to follow in reflection that we are told in the Quran. And we can apply this. Once we do this all the time, we become acquainted with it. Then if I take a glass of water, then When I say Bismillah, it reminds me, I stop and say Bismillah in the name of God, not in the name of water, not in the name of nature, not in the name of God. What does it mean? Where is the name of God in this? So I look at this clear and beautiful liquid, this drink, and it's being brought from the sky, from the clouds, journeying under the grounds, and then gushing forth in springs and wells. And I'm drinking it now. And second, drink it, and lo and behold, my thirst is quenched. This thing that I don't think about, I don't relate to it. I'm usually disconnected. I don't take it seriously at all. But lo and behold, when it comes in, my thirst is quenched. Something amazing is going on here. So I stay with it. I pause. Because we take it for granted, we think it's not something amazing, special. It is very special. It is very awe-inspiring. My body needs this thing, and it comes inside me and cleanses and become parts of our body. We're more than 60%, or some parts are like 70-80% water. So who is doing this? Who is quenching my thirst? We can focus on one thing. Who is quenching my thirst? How is this unconscious, lifeless water smoothly coming from very distant part of the sky and the earth and hastening, as if hastening to our needs? How can it possibly work within my body in such a perfect harmony, so smoothly, so beautifully, so knowingly, wisely? How can lifeless, unconscious, inanimate water possibly sustain life within me and within my plants, within animals, within everything alive, when it is itself lifeless? What's going on here? Who is behind all this? So we need to pause, 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 so that we internalize the feeling of awe, so that we stay with, so that we can feel the awe. Something great is going on here. A big, huge miracle is going on here. Otherwise, we will never be satisfied. Nothing is satisfactory. But something that is so huge that my heart feels almost like, oh, it can't handle it. So, oh, the awe is so, you feel like going into prostration. And the ruh is elated because the ruh comes from him and wants to go back to him and wants to find him in everything. And when it doesn't find its home, its Rabb, it is like in prison here. So we pause, we feel the awe, we stay with the signs. We are told again and again that the disbelievers are those who see the signs and don't take them seriously. And the believers are only those who stay with the sign and prostrate before God and do this and that. Only, only. Not because I claim to be a believer that I'm a believer. So we stay there, and it is such a beautiful thing. It's like this inner inner journey is worth like the best journeying out there, because it's a journey in the land of the beautiful names of God. And you feel how your heart starts expanding, how your whole body relaxes, how it feels good. It's full of that joy of being in the presence of something awesome. You feel that only someone who knows my needs and has the power over my life and my body and over this water can, he's the only one who is sending me this water. Whoever is quenching my thirst with this water knows my body, knows it needs. He is the one in control of my life. And then you feel like an acquaintance, a love, a connection, a relationship to this Rab, God, all powerful, all knowing, all wise, the provider, the sustainer, the giver of life. Pause and always say, like, milk that feeling until we became so acquainted with it. Say, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So when I say Alhamdulillah, immediately what comes to me is all those feelings, all those, the joy that we are living, that we are feeling, that we're experiencing is the joy of tasting the beautiful names of God, of being in the presence of the beautiful names of God. And I become like the recipient of this divine creativity, the channel, the mirror to this beautiful, reflecting these beautiful names. And I become now the witness. I witness that, yes, he is the all-powerful. There is no all-powerful than him. He is the giver of life. He is the sustainer. And I am the guest. He is the host. I know he's the host because I am the guest. I know he's the sustainer because I'm being sustained. And of course, now we don't feel alone anymore. I have a sustainer, a Rab, who controls everything, who has power over everything, who knows everything, sees everything. He knows my needs. He guides me to my needs, to become aware of them. Don't you feel safer, more secure when you experience, when you know that you are his guest? That all our beloved ones are his guests, wherever they are, in this world, the next, in here or somewhere else. They are all his guests. And I feel the appreciation, savor it, taste it, delight in it, feel how delicious the presence of God is, how delicious the beautiful names of God are to our heart, our ruh, our soul. That's the taste of the most beautiful names of God, al-Asma al-Husna. Now we can say Alhamdulillah, truly meaning it. Now, do you feel still that building relationship with God, with Allah, is overwhelming? Just look into yourself. Does it feel that it's overwhelming? Something easy, drinking water. Start with easy things. In the Quran, it starts with easy things. keep in mind, if you feel any overwhelming, like where do I start? Isn't that too much or something? Keep in mind that this inner work of Iman, of waking up from shirk, is about intention, about being present and mindful. Most of us, Alhamdulillah, most of you, they pray, you say Bismillah, you say Alhamdulillah, you give salam to people. So start by, we want by infusing these blessed expressions. They're actually formulas, very important formulas. Infuse them with life, with meaning, with soul, by intending to mean them and feeling how they connect us to God, pausing to appreciate our connection to our Rabb and soak into that feeling connected. For instance, Alhamdulillah. Now, you can start with the words, start zero from here, because it will take you to the need to know God. Start by meaning Alhamdulillah, not just Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, no. Bismillah, and I'm thinking about something else. No, just a second. Bismillah, Bismillah. Right now, this is from God. Whatever our level is, our whatever, however little or much we know who God is. Assalamu alaikum. I wish you peace. I'm intending, I mean it, not just like Assalamu alaikum instead of hi, just like without thinking. Let's just start by being more conscious, more aware, more present. We are already doing those things. So we're just adding the inner dimension. We're not spending lots of time or doing something. The inner work is like, and it is the iceberg. The outer work is the outer expression. So you say salam alaikum, intend to mean it. And the more we practice this, the more we will feel the need to know who God is. Because if I'm saying Alhamdulillah, praise and thanks belong to God alone, how am I praising Him? Who is God? So I will feel the need to know who God is. Like, why do I praise God? Why do I thank Him? How? Who is God really? So it's good. It will how bring out our needs. And so when we get to know God through reflecting on His creation, as we are taught in the Quran, then we will be filled with love for Him, because we are created with the love of His beautiful names, His beautiful attributes. But when we live in a state of mindlessness, in the state of ghafla, we ascribe His attribute to His creation, يلحدون في أسمائه, and then we're distorting the reality. We're saying things are beautiful, things are beneficial, things are good, and there's no connection with the source. So we don't feel any connection with God. But when we start knowing God with His beautiful names, then we will be filled with the love of Him. Our soul longs for Him in everything. And it is then that we'll be filled with inner peace and joy of living in the presence of God. We'll be filled with Iman and Ihsan. So this is a matter of quality rather than quantity. More than how much we do, how much we worship, we start with, we need to focus first on our istiqamah, our destination, our conscious connection to God. That's our destination, is consciously knowing God, loving Him, worshiping Him. Otherwise, our worship is not worship. if we're not worship, if we don't know who are we are worshiping. So it's like the prayer in the hadith. Yes, you pray. That's not prayer, he said. It's not salat. Salat in Arabic means connect, means of connection, means connection. You are not connecting. So we need to cultivate that presence, being presence by stopping being distracted. We have to intend to not be distracted when we are not, or we have to intend to focus our attention on this inner dimension of everything. So this is a conscious choice. We need to consciously choose where we put our attention. Even if we take only few steps towards God, it's okay as long as we are consciously moving towards Him. And this way of being is really the whole what the whole message of the Quran is about. As long as we are on the right path, the speed is secondary. The speed is not as important as the direction, the destination. So we need sincere intention and consistency and patience and persistence. And that's what matters. There is a Qudsi hadith. Qudsi hadith means it's a sacred hadith. This is hadith, but it's God speaking in the hadith, where the Prophet, peace be upon him, said that Allah, the Almighty, said, I am as my servant expects me to be. أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. I am with him when he makes mention of me. If he makes mention of me to himself, I make mention of him to myself. And if he makes mention of me in an assembly, I make mention of him in an assembly better than it. And if he draws near to me an arm's length, I draw near to him a fathom's length. And if he comes to me walking, I go to him at speed. As long as the intention is to move towards God, to get to know Him, He will make everything easy and everything will start cooperating to make it easier. We are eased onto the path of ease as we are told in the Quran, saying, لِلْيُسْرَى. Otherwise, you are eased onto the path of hardship. Just want to end.
Wanted to,
Yes.
highlight that we have last 10 minutes or so.
Okay, so I just
Thank you so much.
and with the power of intention, it's a passage from Imam Nursi, rahimahullah, from which I learned my approach to the Quran, my reading the Quran is all from Imam Nursi primarily. May Allah have mercy on him and reward him for his work. He says, if you say, how can I respond to these countless universal blessings with my limited and partial thanks? The answer, with a universal intention and boundless iman, belief. So he says, for instance, while performing the 5 daily prayers, the salat, a powerless worshipper of Almighty God declares, At-tahiyyatu lillah. That's what we say when we are sitting. Salutations to God. That is, I offer you on my own account all the gifts of worship that all creatures offer to you through their lives. How can I offer this? When I become conscious of their worship and their glorifications, I can take them all and say, I glorify you and worship you to the number of all these things that glorify and worship you. If I had been able, I would have offered you as many salutations, tahiyyat, as them, for you are worthy of all of them and worthy of more besides. Such an intention and belief and iman comprise, because intention itself is not enough, but intention, and iman comprise extensive universal thanks and gratitude. The seeds and grains of plants are like their intention. For example, a melon utters 1,000 intentions in its heart in the form of the seeds of the nuclei of its seeds, as if saying, "Oh, my creator, I want to proclaim the embroideries of your most beautiful names in many places on the earth. Since Almighty God knows how future things will come about, He accepts their intention and as actual worship. The wisdom in offering glorification, tasbihat, is also infinite, in also infinite numbers, is understood from this mystery. For instance, this is from a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, سبحانك وبحمدك عدد خلقك ورضاء نفسك وزنة عرشك ومداد كلماتك ونسبحك بجميع تسبيحات أنبيائك وأوليائك وملائكتك. Glory and praise be unto you to the number of your creatures, that may be as pleasing to you as the extent of your to the extent of your throne, and the ink of your words, which we are told in the Quran is endless. And we glorify you with all the glorifications of all your prophets and saints and angels. This is the way of the Prophet ﷺ. اللهم صل على محمد بعدد ذرات الكائنات ومركباتها وسبحانك بجميع تسبيحات جميع مخلوقاتك وبألسنة جميع مصنوعاتك آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Sorry, I lost track of the time. Go ahead. Sorry, I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So if there's anyone at this time who'd like to share any comments, we don't have anything in the chat, or if anyone wants to raise their hand to share any reflections or what came to you during our exercise, or any thoughts, feel free to do so.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Yamina. Thank you so much for this amazing reminders within reminders. I really appreciate this. Something that has been coming in my mind all day long and the last 2-3 days since I refused chemo this time. I have pulmonary infusion. There is some water they see around my heart. And some people are saying it is from COVID. I have to meet my medical oncologist next week, but I didn't have the energy to go through fourth chemo. And what I've been thinking was, in terms of my journey from grief to illness and trying to barely make sense of future in terms of my earnings and staying with my family and um, finding some purpose in life. Connecting with Allah is all what I want to focus on, both in my career and also in my relationship. Why do I feel self-doubt that I'm not in good books of Allah? That is a question that I feel again and again, because I think it comes to my mind probably because I am so, or I have been so far away from Allah, that coming closer to Him doesn't feel like a possibility. So do you think that in that is a concealed mystery of seeking excellence? Am I a seeker? Am I becoming and transforming into somebody through your lectures, through other people's spiritual guiding reminders, that there is something that was so terribly missing, and now when I'm trying to make room for it, I feel I'm not in the capability of making that room. How to handle self-doubt?
Yeah, it's not about the self-doubt. It's about the assumption that it's about the, as if ibadah, actually it's ubudiyah. Being a worshipper is first a state of being, but we have learned that it is about the doing. The doing is the fruit of the being. So our work is first the being, and the being What is being a worshiper? Is the humility of prostrating before God, is the humility to accept that we are totally dependent on God, that without His giving us, we have nothing. Whatever I have is from Him. The assumption here is that I am going to know God. I am going to worship God. I am going to do this. I can't do anything. I can only ask from Him. And the most important thing at the beginning is to go away from shirk. Shirk is to assume or imagine that I can do anything. And the opposite is to be aware that everything is from Him. So start from there. Everything is from you. And I realize I can do it. Okay, good. It is. This realization is a step forward through realizing my ubudiyah, my being created totally dependent on my sustainer. So it just, when the assumption is revised, everything that comes with it, the doubt and everything, will also, inshallah, go. We have to find that peace of being in His, being the recipients.
Dr. Yamina,
Thank you, Dr. Yamina.
thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to bring to people's attention. There have been some questions about how to fill out which form. So there are two types of forms toward the end of the participant manual. So on page 6, these are reflections after the session. So after tonight's session, if you can take a few minutes, you will click on this form, and Hatija, the host of the session, also posted this link online. Okay, so she's also sharing the screen. Yeah, so that's great. That's great. So yeah, so when you click that form, you'll be able to, it will lead you to, yeah, to see the reflection. And the idea is to, as you write down, it will become more clear for yourself. And also we will receive this on the receiving your end. You don't have to put your name, but it gives a good indication of, you know, where people are, and helps um, with the overall sense of how things are going on the audience end. Because we have so many participants, it's hard to share here at this time, but these forms do help for us to see your comments and questions, and then they can be addressed, hopefully, inshallah. And the other thing is the yeah, okay, so that's great, the silent meditation. So Hatice, if you can scroll to the beginning of that a bit more. Yeah. So here, Dr. Sarah prepared this in light of the content that Dr. Yamina and has been sharing. So it's important to really take time to do this. I know the retreat has been hectic for many of us, and some of us are in different time zones, but do try to take the time to do this silent meditation. And in the next page, Sarah has this detailed reflection, and when you write these answers there in the box, that's for your own use. We don't see that. You will see that once you save the participant manual as a copy for yourself, it becomes your personal copy. And then you can edit it. And as you edit it, it's yours. So I just wanted to encourage that there are a few boxes here by this time. It's okay if you didn't do all of them. It's okay if if you couldn't fill in all of them, but wherever you can start, going forward, try to make some time for the silent meditation, to listen to yourself, and then share whatever you can share on that forum for your own use. And we hope to hear your voices at the last session. The last session will be an interactive session led by Dr. Alia. So you're welcome to bring in your comments and your questions and how the process has worked for you, inshallah. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for that clarification, Isra. So just once again, this table here is for you to fill out on your own, and then inshallah to have the opportunity to share during our last session. And this one, if you can please fill it out after each session, preferably as soon as we close for the day today, while everything is fresh in your mind, that would be great. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time and attention, and inshallah, may we always be open to receiving. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you, everyone. Fi amanillah.
Islam, thank you so much.
Thank you.
جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.
See you tomorrow.
جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
خير Yamina. The commitment exercise was beautiful. Jazakallah kulla khair.
Assalamu alaikum, Yamina. I enjoyed it.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah wa shukran. Jazakallah khair, Sister Yamina. I also enjoyed meditation part as well, along with the lecture.
Assalamu alaikum, Yamina. Good night.